Tom Verducci joins us on the Monday program to talk about Shohei Ohtani, what he's working on, and what, in fact, the Angels can count on from him in 2021. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hey, yeah, let's talk about what he worked on in the offseason, because last year, I mean, that was a throwaway year for a lot of players. But for Ohtani, I don't think he was healthy. Remember, he had a bad knee in 19. Then he had knee surgery. And to me, he either wasn't confident with the knee or the strength just wasn't there. So this offseason, he's worked really hard. He changed his diet. He actually went to Driveline to work on his pitching mechanics. But what he did offensively is he really worked on keeping his back foot down and his backside through the baseball. Let's go back to 18, when Ohtani basically showed everybody what kind of power he had to all fields. Reminded me of Darryl Strawberry with the leverage he got into his swing. But take this back. I want to show you, look at his backside here, the back leg. The back knee will turn into the baseball. He's hitting off a really firm front side, but the key is he's getting his backside through the ball. The back foot is down on the ground, and he's got what I call that trophy finish because his balance is so good. Take a look at some of these home runs from 18 and pay attention to his back leg. You see how he gets it through the baseball, that left knee driving forward. Front side is really firm. This guy's got tremendous power. Now let's look now at what happened last year with Ohtani. Even sometimes when he hit the ball, it just wasn't coming off his bat the same. This ball right here off Jake McGee, looks like he got it. Not really. It's kind of warning track power. But let's take this one back too. And let's take a look now at that back leg and foot, what happens. Watch the back foot slide behind him. The front side isn't nearly as firm, so he's essentially hitting with one side. And we saw this over and over again. Take a look at these swings, especially his back side. The leg is just not getting through, the foot sliding behind him, and you're seeing that front side collapse. That to me tells me that back side, that back knee just isn't as strong. Here's the same pitch, 18 on your left, 20 on the right. There's just not the same turn through the baseball that you saw in 18. So again, a lot of guys last year, had a bad year. For Ohtani, I can throw it out. When I see him take these kind of swings, that's not the full turn through the baseball we saw from Ohtani at 18. The word already in camp is he's back to the 18 swing. He threw on the mound a batting practice session where he hit 97 miles per hour. We saw him on the mound briefly last year. He threw 80 pitches. Only once hit 97. So everything is pointing upwards right now for Ohtani. And by the way, guys, we talk about, how are they going to use him? They have to be careful with him. Joe Madden is telling people the rules for Ohtani this spring, there are no rules. We want this guy to be a baseball player. Just let him go. But I think he's in really good shape mentally and especially physically.
Wow, that's fascinating stuff. I agree with you that the injuries in 2020, you know, the Angels, if you really consider the time he's been there, a very short period of time, they have not had Shohei Ohtani at the peak of his powers for a very long time at all. That's why the Angels are such a hard team to handicap this year.
So, Tom, would you be tempted? I know he's an offensive force, but they've got offense. Would they be tempted to just have him pitch?
No, they're not there at that point yet. I mean, the offense is just too good. I mean, if he was just an offensive player, he's going to hit in the middle of anybody's lineup. He's a game changer. So I think the deal is now, as Matt said, we really haven't seen him totally at his full powers, maybe briefly at 18. So the upside here is just tremendous. You're talking, I think he's one of the, if not the most talented player in the game. When you talk about somebody who can throw the ball as hard as Garrett Cole and hit it as hard as Aaron Judge. Name me anybody else in this universe who can do that.
Clayton Kershaw probably isn't the offensive profile that Shohei Ohtani is, but he's every bit the arm that anybody's been in this game. And he made comments recently in camp talking about how he wants to keep pitching beyond this contract. Whether that's in LA or wherever, he wants to stay out there. How then does Clayton Kershaw keep reinventing himself and finding the next gear as he's done so brilliantly throughout his time?
Well, first of all, they've done a great job reducing his workload. I mean, he pitches the vast majority of his starts now on not the 5th day, on the 6th day, or sometimes even the 7th. So the workload is reduced as he's getting into his 30s. But he's an example of why the shift is also making a big difference with pitchers. And he's seen it just in the course of his career, and actually the last 5 years. What if I showed you every time a hitter hit the ball through the shift last year, the whole season? You tell me we don't have enough time. Well, I'm going to show you every one. There's only 4 of them. Only 4 times against Kershaw did people get the ball through the shift. And to do that, you've got to really hit bullets and thread a needle at 94 plus. Well, you say, okay, why don't they just go the other way? How about I show you every ball hit the other way that beat the shift? There's only 3 of them last year against Kershaw. Yeah, only 3 times with that right side opened up did hitters go the other way. Let's see how it's changed over the years. Let's think about Kershaw against Nolan Arenado. How did they attack him? Go back to 16. This ball's a base hit. Remember those days? Look where the second baseman is. That left side is completely open. Didn't even have to hit it hard. 17, same thing. Second baseman is on the right side. That's going to be a base hit. They're not going to get him out of first base. Again, we get to 18, and they're still not shifting over. This happens to be an out. He didn't really hit it that hard. It's going to be an out anyway, but you saw where the second baseman was. Now we get to 19. Arenado hits a ground ball that might have been a base hit in 16, but now they've shifted over. Guess what? You're going to be out. Again, if you don't hit a bullet, you are not getting the ball through the shift. It's going to be an out 99% of the time. So this is what's happened. The Dodgers are the sultans of the shift. Shift more than anybody else, and Kershaw knows that. Take a look at the increase in shifts against Kershaw. It's gone basically from 4% to 86% since 2017. The batting average on balls in play has reduced another 38 points on that shift. Now, the Dodgers shift more than anybody, but we all know everybody in the game is doing it. Let me show you how it's impacted the game. Just in 5 years, shifts have more than tripled, and it's taken more than 11 points off the batting average on balls in play. That's the difference between when you shift and when you just play them straight up. So batting average is going down, shifts are going up, and you see that with Kershaw and the Dodgers. Listen, they're a good defensive team. They're so smart about how they use the information. So he's benefiting the fact now that people are in the right place. Those ground balls up the middle, they're outs now. Those are 6-3s or even 4-3s sometimes. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's why I think the talk continues about getting rid of the shift to open up the game so that we do get more base hits. And I think, to me, another benefit is it shows off defensive range, right? We want to see players make great plays. Spread the field, give them room to move and range to make really good plays.
Yeah, it changes the athlete, no doubt about it. And when you get a guy, Tom, of Kershaw's knowledge that he can throw a curveball now and a cutter on your hands, you're not shooting that ball the other way. You might think you're going to, but those are 2 hard pitches to shoot the other way to beat the shift. So you're playing right into his hands the whole time.
Yeah, and Harold, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of fans will watch the game and they'll see that right side open. And they say, just hit the ball the other way. But based on Kershaw's stuff and the way he can cut that ball into righties, but especially the way his command is so good, right?
Yep.
Kershaw can pitch into the shift as well as anybody. He's not going to be just dropping backdoor cutters out there all the time. He's going to move that ball in on you, get you out front on his curveball. I mean, you saw David Fletcher as a guy who could spray the ball around the field against Kershaw. The Dodgers had their defense shifted over against David Fletcher. So it's not just the case of putting people in the right spots. It's the case of a pitcher with exceptional command who can pitch to the shift.
Yeah, and I found it interesting, Tom, having this discussion a lot with our sabermetric people. We always talk about exit velocity and how hard guys are hitting the ball. And I always say, it doesn't matter. You're hitting right where he wants you to hit it. So what if you hit it 95 miles an hour? There's a guy standing there. It's by purpose. And so many guys are taking that trip back to the dugout. Has that been a discussion as well?
Yeah, absolutely. What you just said is true. If you have to only hit a bullet and thread a needle to get a base hit, what are you going to do? You're going to hit the ball more in the air, right? And when you do that, you're going to have more swing and miss in your game. So there's really a domino effect here to not just moving players defensively to take away a base hit, but what happens with your mindset as a hitter. There's only so many times you're going to hit a bullet at 90 miles an hour to shortstop and get thrown out and take a right turn back to the dugout before you say, you know what? I've got to hit the ball in the air. And guys want to do that anyway to slug, but the incentive to hit the ball on the ground is just not there in the game, a lot because of where defenders are and how pitchers can take advantage of it.
7 balls on the ground.
Unbelievable.
That's it.
Great information. Great
stuff.
information
Great tapes,
as always
Tom.
from Tom Verducci. Tom, thanks. We'll
got it.
hopefully see you in person soon. Tom Verducci with us on a Monday.